Hi everyone, it's Anne Marie, and we are going to get started on the tutorial for my POISED folio. I did the project share video a little earlier today. You can go back and watch that if you'd like. What I'm going to do first is show you how to put together the chipboard for the covers and the spines, and yeah, this is going to be interesting how I'm going to be able to fit this into the camera view for you. So how we're going to start off, let me grab my notes. So we are going to need, or you're going to need some medium weight chipboard. I always use medium weight chipboard. So you can actually find it at Country Craft Creations, but you can also find it in other stores online. So yeah, it's all a matter of personal preference. Some people prefer a little lighter weight chipboard. I like a nice medium weight. As you can see, so here's this piece here. I don't know if that helps you, if you can see how thick that is. To be honest, I have no idea what the dimension is. I know it's like 0.28 or 0.4 or whatever. I don't pay attention to that. I just think if it's nice and sturdy, then it'll help the book take some abuse. That's honestly how I roll, so to speak. Okay, so what we're gonna need for the covers, let me just show you this real quick. I adhered down the first one, so you need this one, and then you need number 2. Then you're going to need number 3, and I'll give you the dimensions in just a minute. And there's number 4. So this is the inside flap cover. This is the first spine that's on the left. This is the inside back. This is the larger spine. This one is the right back. This one is the other small spine. And, oh, you can't even see that, sorry. That's number 6, and then here is number 7. Looks like a lot. You can see, thank goodness I have a long desk. So, to get yourself started, let's go over to number 1. This is really difficult to show. So, your first cover, again, you're going to want it in chipboard. This one is 6.5 inches because my folio is 7 by 9. This first one is a little shorter than this cover. Actually, maybe this will help you. So when you open the book, this piece here is number 1. Okay? And then this little spine right here, this little spine right here is number 2. Okay? This piece right here is this number 3, etc., etc. Okay? And then you have the bigger spine right here, and this is number 4. And then you have the same for the other pieces for the right-hand side. Hope that makes sense. All right, so for piece number 1, you're going to want to cut a piece of chipboard that is 6.5 by 9. And as you can see, I have some of my notes here for just the covers. This will all be provided in the description bar below. I might actually do this as a separate download to make it easier for everybody so that you don't have to print everything out, so that you can just print it off and go. All right, so what I did, I cut these all out. So number 2, I'm sorry, let's go back to this. So for the smaller covers, you're going to want to cut 2 of them that are 6.5 by 9. And your number 1 is number 1, and the second one is all the way over here as number 7. Okay, so you're going to want 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard, 6 by 9. Then for the 2 smaller spines, I have I'm calling number 2 the left spine, and number 6 is the right spine. You can see they're the same size. They are 1.5 by 9 inches. And you're going to want to name those, number 2 and number 6. Okay? And then for number 3, this is the larger cover. This one you're going to want 2 pieces of your medium weight chipboard, cut at 7 inches by 9 inches. And you're going to label those number 3 and number 5. All right, so then that brings us to the larger spine. And I am making this a little bit bigger, this one, a little bit bigger than this one. I made this, the larger spine or the main spine, 3 by 9 inches. Because I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. This one's going to be for a gift. So this is 3 by 9. All right. Okay, so we already have, sorry, and the main spine, obviously you only need 1. So you already have cut your number 5, your smaller spine, which is number 6, or your right spine, and your number 7. Okay? So, and believe me, when you do these, this is the most difficult part of this entire project, I promise. So it's very, very, very helpful. Maybe you have better, maybe you can do it better than I can, but I have to number them because I will screw it up. I'll have the wrong cover on the wrong side. That's just how I am. So anyway, then what you want to do is you want to take each one of your covers. Now this is where your own preference comes in. You can use Scor tape, which I did. I just have some 3/8 inch Scor tape. You can use those full Scor tape sheets that are 8.5 by 11. I am unfortunately out of those. I only have little pieces of each one left. You can use wet glue. I am a very impatient crafter, so I use Scor tape. So I already glued down number 1. Okay, and what we're going to glue these to. So anyway, go back. Let me take a step back. Go ahead and if you're using a dry adhesive, go ahead and put it on all of your pieces, on the back side of all of your pieces. Okay? And then, sorry about that. Nobody calls all day until the camera's rolling. Ay. Okay, so then what you want to do is take whatever cardstock is going to be, you're going to cover your chipboard with. I am using the Artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations in, is it called antique linen or just linen? I think it's antique linen. It's kind of like a creamy off-white color. So I have here, hard to tell, I know, but I have 3 sheets of 12 by 12. I connected them together with a 1/4 inch Scor tape at the end, and you just line them up and adhere them all together, and you end up with this very, very ridiculously long piece of, what is that, so 12, 12, 12, 36, and then I actually had to add a little bit more on the end. So there you can see how I added it on, right there. Don't need much of an overlap. You only need about 1/4 inch. You could go a little more if it makes you more comfortable. I actually meant to cut this down. So these are full 12 by 12 sheets. You don't need the full 12 by 12. If your paper is, if your book is going to be 9 inches long, you just want to leave yourself an inch on either end. So if this is 9 inches, you can trim your paper down to 11 inches. So it could be 12 by 11. I honestly just forgot to do that. So I'll just have a little extra. I'll either cut it off or I'll just deal with it. So, all right. So, and then another thing that I do, I actually got this tip from Ginger Ropp, who's my sister scrapper. I tell the people this all the time. you can put this before you adhere together, or even after. You can put this paper in your scoreboard and score it at 1 inch along this side, and then also along the bottom. I don't always do it along the bottom, but it's actually a nice guide to help you keep it, pretty straight. And then what I did is I took the first piece of chipboard, number 1, lined it up along that score line there and along the intersection down here, and that'll help you keep them all straight as we go down along the line. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all my score tape off of the backs of each one of my pieces of chipboard. I'm going to actually probably end up speeding this up so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do all 55 pieces of chipboard. But one thing I do want to tell you is I actually like to take, I don't have any 1/4 inch score tape left, but I like to take a piece of 1/4 inch score tape and put it right in between. It just helps, my scissors, it just helps with, it helps me know where to space, how to space the chipboard so that it doesn't crack. This paper very rarely ever cracks, which is why I love it so much. But again, because I'm giving it as a gift, I want it to be absolutely perfect. And the person I'm giving it to is so special to me, and I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so yeah, so I wish I had a 1/4 inch. I know this is wasteful. This is 3/8 inch, but I can deal. Okay, so there's number 2, and let's move along to number 3. Again, trying to keep this, line this up along that bottom score line. I did actually take it and score at 1 inch all the way across the bottom here as well. Are you kidding me? I didn't even take the score tape off. See, I'm so excited. I completely forgot to remove the backer. Yes, I will edit that out. All right. Okay. It's so quiet here in my craft room tonight. All right, so let's line that up along the bottom. And again, if it's a little bit crooked, nobody's going to know. And it's going to get covered with pattern paper, but it's really important to keep enough space in between the pieces of chipboard. All right. I feel like it's so dark. Let's see if I can turn on some light for you all. I've got all my lights on. Is that better? I don't think that's any better. I think that's actually worse. Ugh. Okay. Piece of chipboard. Okay, so 3. Let's take the backer off of number 4. I've got this pile, you can't see it, but over here off camera, I have this huge pile of of score tape waste. Okay, so let's add number 4. Oops. Again, trying to keep it as straight as possible. There's number 4. Okay. Wow, I really need to work on my lighting. I don't usually film at night, so I guess I never noticed. I'm in the process of redoing my craft room. I guess I'm going to have to redo my lighting situation as well. Okay, so we move on to number 5. I know this is the most boring part of watching a tutorial. If this was just a normal folio, I wouldn't even film the cover because I have plenty of covers on my YouTube channel that I could actually suggest you check out, but here's number 5. Okay, running out of the room. Here's number 6. And once you do this a few times, it actually goes pretty quickly. Ow. I also don't recommend stabbing yourself with your craft knife. Alright. Here's number 6. This is the smaller spine. Number 6. And whoop. It's a wonder I haven't broken this glass mat yet, the way I drop stuff on it. Oh, that's another suggestion. I got the, is this Tonic? I know it's Tonic. Yeah, Tim Holtz's name on it is on it. The Tonic Studios glass media mat, and I love it. I love it because, you know, nothing sticks to it, and also because you can clean off if you're doing, you know, inking or whatever. Nothing sticks to it. But let me set this down first. Okay. But I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Over here, let's see if I can move the camera. Come on. Over here, there's this little palette thing that had like a cover, a protective cover on it, and I don't know what the heck happened, but the backing, oh, there's a piece came off. The backing stuck to the glass. I don't know what happened, and I keep meaning to call them, and I can't get it off. I've tried all the tricks. Sorry, I hope that didn't make you dizzy. I've tried all the tricks, you know. I'm just going to cut this down to 1 inch. I've tried using, see it's stuck on my finger? I've tried using, what do you call that? Hand sanitizer, all the tricks to kind of try to get it off, and it just won't come off. So as I mentioned earlier, I had to add a little extra piece on the right hand side. You can see I went a little crazy. I added 4 inches, and I only needed about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to just trim this down with my craft knife. Whoop! I trimmed it very crooked, but I trimmed it down. All right, so there you have it. So we have this ridiculous amount of paper covering our folio covers. All right, so next what I'm going to do is put some Scor tape around the perimeter, and then we're going to wrap our covers. So let's do that real quickly. So back to this glass media mat, by the way. Absolutely love it. But I don't know if I have a bad case of the dropsies or what the issue is with me, but I dropped my scissors on it, I dropped my crocodile on it. It's just, I don't know what the deal is, but it hasn't broken, so must be well made. Alright, so I'm hoping you can see all this, and I apologize if my camera shakes. Got a whole new desk. Oh, and by the way, if you can, if you're in the market for a new desk, I absolutely love this IKEA desk. Like, I hate IKEA furniture. Like, I don't think I would buy it for my living room, you know, or for my bedroom, but for my craft room, it's awesome. It's this, you know, this white, I think the tabletop. It's like an inch and a half thick, and it's called Linman, I think. And then I got the Alex drawers underneath. Some of those, and on the other side of the room I have another one, a Linman with the wider Alex drawers, and yeah, they're just fantastic, and it makes my room look so pretty. Alright, so here, so we have score tape around the entire perimeter. You just have to trust me, it's there. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and cut out these corners. So, oh crap. I should have cut this down to 1 inch. This is just much too much, but we can make it work. So what we're going to do is, so you see you have this corner here, right? You're just going to want to kind of get rid of that corner, miter that corner, but just leave about 1/8 of an inch. So that you can wrap your chipboard and you can wrap that corner. I don't get really crazy. I don't get really fancy because it's going to get covered with pattern paper anyway. So let's go ahead and do this side. Oh, that's too much light. Oops. See, I just kind of cut that out like that. And let's go to this side. And this other super big side. Ooh, ooh. It's gonna look weird. We'll make it work. Okay. All right, so here we are. We're back to number 1 over here. All right, so if you recall when we first started, I mentioned scoring right along this line here. I'm going to go ahead and start training the paper up. Just push the paper up along the edge of the chipboard. And you can take your bone folder and do the same. Okay, and then I like to do it along the bottom. You don't necessarily have to do it in any specific order, but I like to use my desk. I can't see that. I like to use my desk to help start train the paper along the bottom. So I'm simply just pushing that right up along the bottom of the chipboard. I'll do the same over here on this side. Oops. And then we'll do the same across the top. Oh, I have one that's out of order. Okay. All right. So here's also a tip for you. Let me grab my glue. Oh. Some art glitter glue, if you'd like. I don't always do it. Sometimes I do. You can actually put a bead of glue right up against the edge of the chipboard. But you know, what the heck? I don't usually, but let's have fun. Is it coming out? So you can do this, and I'll just actually, oops, sorry. So some people swear by that, and I'm going to be honest and say, man, that's not my thing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the score tape backer. See, this is how much score tape is on there. Look at that. That's crazy. Okay. So let's just go ahead and wrap kind of just pull it over. It's going to feel really weird because there's so much. You just do one little piece of part at a time. Okay, just do as best you can. You're going to get some wrinkles, but don't freak out. Wrinkles in your paper. That is. Okay. Oops. Alright. Okay. So, and then what I like to do is stand this up. I hope you can see this. And then I just like to run my bone folder along the top. Kind of helps to flatten that out. Flattens out the paper. Just gives you a little more of a finished look. Okay. So, like flip it over to the bottom. And again, there's no rule whether you start, at least that I'm aware of. There are no rules in crafting. At least not in my house. If you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. That's what I say. But we're going to go ahead and, again, fold the paper over. Just pull it. The paper will go wherever you tell it to go. Okay. And let's move to the next section. Great. Beautiful. Right, let's stand that up. That gives you a nice clean line. Okay, we're going to bring this back over to this edge. Alright, let me see if I can bring this up close. So you see that little corner piece there? And that little piece there? What we're going to do is just use your nail or your finger, whatever, and then just push those little edges in so that your chipboard, your cardstock covers up the chipboard, because you don't want to see that this ugly chipboard color coming through, right? So that's really all you have to do. I know when I first started making these too, I used to freak out because my corners might not have been perfect, but it's handmade. And handmade is never perfect. And as you see, all the chipboard's covered. You have a nice finish there, and it's going to get covered with pattern paper. So, yeah, I actually love it. Alright, so let's go to this side, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. Push this in. Now you can buy, I can't remember who makes it, and there's something that's like to miter corners and wrap corners. I forget who makes it. I can't recall. But you can buy a little tool that's like this little square, and I just say do your best and just eyeball it. By all means, if I am a gadget person, if there's a gadget, I want it. So by all means, if that's what you like, then you do you. If that helps you feel that you did your project looks better by buying those tools, I say go ahead, but I really don't see the need for them. So there. So you can see our book is wrapped. Yeah, so I'm going to stop the cover video here because this is already 30 minutes. Now all you have to do is take some pattern paper. You're going to cut it down to, oops, I lost my ruler. Oh. You're going to need a few sheets, right? So you're going to, if this is 9 inches tall, I would suggest cutting your paper down to 8 7/8 and leave it by 12 inches and just go ahead and overlap them. You'll probably need 3 pieces of 12-inch paper. 8 7/8 by 12. So that is your cover. And then you'll put Scor tape or your glue or whatever your preference is for your cover. So yeah, so give it a go. It's not as difficult as I made it. I know I've just been rambling on, had too much caffeine, and it's 8:15 at night, and I had caffeine at 6 o'clock, so I'm probably going to be up late. But anyway, so there's your cover, and I will be back shortly, and we'll make the inside. Okay, so let's start on the page construction. So we are going to start with the inside pockets for the leftmost flap. And that would be, this pocket right here. And then you will just do the exact same thing. Repeat that process for this pocket over here on the right hand side. But I will just show you one time. So what you need for your pocket is a piece of cardstock, and you're going to cut it down to whatever your base color cardstock is, 7 inches by 3 inches. And you put that in your scoreboard, and we're going to trim it 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So that was the long side or the short side. 3 inches on this side, and we're just going to turn it, rotate it. We're not going to flip it. All right, so then you end up with something like that, which you cannot see. See the score lines? Okay, then I'm going to fold along those score lines. Give it a good burnish, make that fold nice and crisp. Fold and burnish the other 2 sides. Okay, now you can either use your wet glue. You all know I love my art glitter glue, but for the purposes of the video and try to move this along for you, I will use Scor tape on mine. It's a nice strong adhesive. And put the Scor tape closest to this edge. You don't want to get it over your Scor line, because then your tags or whatever you put in the pocket, they could possibly stick to the Scor tape or get hung up in the Scor tape. And that's a little bit annoying. So there you go. We have our adhesive. Then what we're going to do, show you from this side. So see where the Scor line, where these two, at the point where these 2 Scor lines intersect, we're actually just going to remove that little square, or rectangle. Just going to cut that out, just remove some bulk. So you end up with something that looks like that. And then we're just going to take a little miter off each edge of this side. All right. And then we'll go ahead and form the pocket. So remove your backing. I like to do it this way because then you don't have all the little tabs are sticking out when you try to put it down, and then it makes you feel like a big dummy, at least for me. So, all right, bring your book over, open up to that side. Gosh, I hope you can see. I mentioned in the other video, my lighting is kind of weird. Okay. So what we're going to do is go ahead and line up the bottom of your pocket with the bottom of your book. I like to start in the corner, in the bottom left corner. Oops. That way I know that if the corner's lined up, then everything else should follow. Makes it very easy. So there you go. There's your pocket. So there's your first flat pocket. I'm sorry, there's your first pocket, and your tags will just fit right inside there. Now if you want to put the same pocket on the opposite side, you'll just repeat that exact same process and then just adhere it down on this side. You can do just one pocket, you can do a couple of pockets. I think I'm decided I'm going to do something different over here, so I'm just going to leave that blank for now. All right, so next up is this pocket flap, the large pocket flap, as I think I'm calling it. Yes, a large pocket page flap. Okay, and that's the one for the left-hand side. All right, so what you will need is one piece of cardstock. That is, actually you'll want to cut two of these, so you could cut the right side and the left side at the same time. You're going to want two pieces that are 6.5 inches this way by 10. And then you'll want two pieces that are 6 by 9. Okay? Then what you're going to want, this is essentially what we want to end up with. So you can see there's my pocket page. I've made one of the two. So I will show you how to put that together. So this is your 6.5 by 10. Okay, I'm going to put this in your scoreboard on the 6.5 inch side and score it 1/2 inch. Rotate it to the right, one turn, score it 1/2 inch, rotate it to the clockwise, we'll say, one more time to the other side, and score it 1/2 inch. So you want to have score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay? Then we're going to go ahead, just like we did with the pocket page, we're going to fold and burnish along those score lines. All 3 score lines. Alright, and then again, you want to pick whatever your favorite adhesive is. I am going to go with my Scor tape. I've been using 3/8 inch Scor tape. I used to use 1/4 inch, but that was before the 3/8 was available. Okay. Alright, so then what we're going to do, this along your left-hand side on your long side, this is going to become the flap that you attach to the spine of your book. So just like we did with the pocket, we're going to trim out that corner or miter that corner on both ends. Okay. And then take a little bit off of this, the top of the pocket, a little bit off over there. All right, so then what we're going to do is turn it over, fold your flaps inwards, okay, so that the hinge that's going to attach to your to the spine of your book is up at the top, or even, actually I prefer to do it this way, so I'm going to actually turn it so that that hinge is on my left. Okay, and what we're going to have to do, because we only have 2 flaps, what we need is this 6 by 9 inch piece. Okay, we are going to go ahead and, oops, sorry, that's my light. What we're going to do is we're going to adhere it down like this so that it forms our pocket over here. But what we need to do is put a bead of glue right along this side to seal up the pocket. All right, but what I'm going to do first is attach the top. Maybe that gives you a better idea. So again, I like to line up my corners, get close to your score line, but don't go over it. I put that on a little bit crooked, but that's okay. Right? So then what we're going to do is leave yourself about 1/4 inch here, and then just do a quick bead of glue straight down along that score line, like just to the right of it. You don't want to cover it up. And bring that down. And then add your adhesive here. Oops, can you see that? Remove your backing from this flap. And it will all just fall right into place. And it will seal up your pocket. Easy peasy. So now you have your pocket page just like I have here. Okay? So what we'll do is we will add that into our book. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place today. All right, we're going to add this pocket page that we just made to this 1-inch spine. Okay, mine is actually 1.5 inches, I think, but in the original project it's 1 inch. So I like to turn my flap under. So what I'm going to do is remove the backing, the adhesive backing from the hinge, and then just line it up really, line it up really closely with the edge, but don't get into the crease. Don't go over the edge of the spine, if that makes sense. So I hope you can see this. It's kind of too long, so I'm going to have to get creative. Stand up. Okay, so you see I want the edge of this pocket page really close to the edge. Without going over into the channel. So there we go. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. My craft knife rolled off the desk right into the garbage can. So I have a little bit of hangover, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, so there is your first pocket page. Very easy, right? Okay, next. Next we will do these 2 pocket pages. Okay, and what you will need for that, and I call those in the directions, the small pocket page flaps. All right. Actually, why don't we go ahead and, since we already made the second one, why don't we go ahead and add that onto the right-hand side. This is the right-hand side large pocket flap. So you're going to put it together the exact same way we did the left-hand side. Okay. And then we are just going to line it up right along the edge without going over. Keep it as straight as you can. Of course, mine just went crooked. Give it a good burnish. Okay. So you'll see you have your second flap. And it should look like that from the top. Here are the 2 flaps, and here are the 2 pockets. All right. So we will move on to the small pocket flaps. Let me see. What did I do? Did I mess up the pocket flaps? I'm missing one. Oh, it's in my hand. Jeez Louise. Okay, so first piece you're going to need is 6 inches by 5 inches. And you're going to want to put it in your scoreboard, score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay, just like we've made all of our pockets so far. And then we're going to fold and burnish. a nice crisp score line. Okay, and these are going to be top loading pockets, by the way. I've also decided I'm going to add some side loading pockets to mine, or I might add them. I haven't decided yet, but you absolutely can do that. So add your favorite adhesive to your hinges or your tabs. Okay. So we're going to go ahead again and we're going to cut away those corners where the score lines intersect. All right, so again, I mentioned that this is going to be a top loader. So what that means is that this is the hinge on the left will be what attaches your pocket page to the book, right? So you're going to want to take the top part of your pocket, which is 5 inches by 4.5 inches. And we're just going to lay that right on top, and that'll create a pocket at the top. But we're going to have to add a bead of glue here, just like we did in the last one. So add it close to, but without going over. Whoops. I had to put my pin in my glue. Close to without going over. Where is it? Let's remove the adhesive backing. Then just go ahead and take the top of the pocket. We're going to close up the pocket. And again, if you line up, whoop, 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 no, yikes, whew, that was close. If you line up the corners, it should all fit perfectly. Okay. So there, that side is where we have the bead of glue. And there's your pocket. Easy peasy. Oh, one thing I neglected to do was to miter that little piece. Just that littlest bit. You can see the slightest little sliver to keep the bulk down. Once you start layering paper, it can get kind of bulky. So let's make the second one and then we'll add it into the book. I can't find my second one. Oh. Dang it. Oh, I already did make it. Here it is. I'm sorry. So you can see there's this one, and I made the second one. You can put as many of these in as you want in your book, as many as you could fit down along the spine. So again, here is the right spine. As you can start, leave yourself a little bit of a gap so that you can see whatever you put in the pocket, but you could probably get a third one here if you wanted to. You'll just kind of overlap the hinges. Yeah, but I'm just going to stick with 2. Oops, this one needs some adhesive. So add some adhesive to your fin. It makes it easier to stick in the book. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, now I'm going to come down pretty close. Pretty close to the bottom of the book. And then I want to make sure that I don't cover up the fold, the score line for this large pocket page. And what's going to happen is I'm going to take a piece of trim pattern paper at 1/4 of an inch just to cover up the seams. You don't have to do that because it's all, it's all in the same cream color cardstock, but I just think it's those finishing touches that make the project really great. So yeah, that's what I decided. All right, so I want to leave myself, I don't know, maybe about an inch, so that whatever tag I put in, you can actually see it from the top. And then you just put that down, slap it down, and attach it to your spine. And just give everything a good burnish, make sure it gets a good stick. Help the paper learn where it needs to go. Pretty easy, huh? I hope you think so. All right, so this page, I'm going to leave blank because you're going to put down some pattern paper if in fact you want to. I have another suggestion for you, but this is the section where I just used the 3x4 cut aparts, and I put 2 of them in here. I matted them on cardstock, and then I matted 2 pieces of white cardstock for journaling or other pictures. To give you an idea, the black cardstock that you see is 3 1/4. This piece of black cardstock is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and you can fit 4 of those inside the section here. So now you could do that if you'd like, or you can do a flat page that lifts up this way, or you can do a second waterfall. If you remember from the other video, I have a waterfall here. Oh, that would have been a really good idea. You could do a second waterfall. You could do where this one is horizontal. You could do a vertical waterfall, or you could do two waterfalls that are 3.5 by 4.5. You could probably get 4 or 5 of those across this way, and then do another one down on the bottom. That would be a lot of fun. But I am just going to, again, I will add, off camera, I will add my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mats, and then add in some cut aparts from my paper collection. All right, that's going pretty quickly. So then we're going to actually add in the second flat pockets that we did on the right side. So we've already added this one on the right hand side. We're going to add this one. Okay? And what you need for that you're going to want to cut, what is it? I have everything so well organized until I put the camera on. It all goes to heck. Alright, so then you want to take one piece of cardstock that is 12 inches by 9 inches, okay? And we're going to put it on a scoreboard and score it at 6 inches. Then we're going to turn it and score, sorry about that, and then score again at 6 inches. Alright? So essentially what you want is a 6-inch section from here to the first score line, and then from the second score line is 3 inches. And then what that's going to do, when you bend those under, we're going to fold it like this, and that creates 2 pocket pages. Okay? And then, okay, so we are going to fold those 2 flaps. We've just cut up that score line, and you're left with something that looks like this. Those 2 flaps will get folded up. This will become your pocket, and then we're going to close it to the left so that your opening is on the left. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take that 6 by 1 inch flap that we scored down the middle at 1/2 inch. Remove the backing, the score tape backing. We're going to attach it over here on the left, on the right hand side. So your opening is on your left, and we're going to attach it right along the edge of that 6-inch section. Okay. So get that on there as straight as you can. If it hangs over a smidge, it's okay. We can trim it off. But one thing I did not do, I'm just going to go ahead and miter that little bit from that corner, just so it doesn't get hung up. Okay? Okay, now at this point, you can either use these little 1x3 inch hinges that we made, and you can close up your pocket like that. Okay, and that's gonna get covered with pattern paper, or you can put that hinge on the inside. Okay, so you have lots of options, or you can just take a bead of glue and just put a bead of glue from the score line to the bottom, which I think is what I'm gonna do. Just a nice thin bead of glue. Fold that flap up and form the pocket. See, instant pocket. All right, and let's turn that over and do the same thing on this side. Okay. So there we go. So, as I mentioned, this flap will attach to the book, and then you'll have these cute little pocket pages. So, let's take our book. So we're over here on the right hand side. We've already made this flap, and we're going to take this page, and you can decide where you'd like to put this. Again, just like we did on the other side, you can create 2 of these. You could put 2 of these here. You could actually put 4. You have plenty of room for a third flap. It's entirely up to you. I am going to just go ahead and put in 1. Some crazy shadows today. Jeez Louise. Nothing but complain this entire time. So sorry. So I'm going to line mine up really close to that fold without going over. I don't want it to interfere with the action of this pocket page. There we go. And then just go ahead and burnish that down. Good idea to go ahead and fold that over one more time. So, there you go. Okay, now the fun starts, what I think is a lot of fun. So, I'm sorry, let me take one step back. Like I said, you can go ahead and make another one of these. You can make a couple of more of these pocket flaps if you wanted to, or you can make another large pocket flap. Oops. And put it right behind this smaller one. You have a lot of choices. But what we're going to work on now, what we're going to focus on, is in this section here, we're going to do the waterfall. We don't need the book just yet, so you can close up your book and set that aside. Okay, let me clean up a little bit here. Okay, so for the waterfall, you can make a decision whether you want to do 6 flaps, or if you want to add a couple and do 8. I originally had 6 in my book, but I think I'm going to try to see if I can get 8 to fit. Okay, so for the waterfall, you want to make yourself a base. Actually, let me show it to you one more time. This is your waterfall. Okay, this whole section, and these are what I'm calling the waterfall pages or flaps. Okay, and I have 6 of those, and then I have this last photo mat here, which is rather large. Okay, and then we have the closure. I'm going to go ahead and do 8 flaps because I have I have quite a bit of room there. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't look funny. So Tammy taught me this, and I thought this was the most ingenious idea I have ever heard of. I don't know about you, but I struggle sometimes to get flaps put on straight. I don't know why. It seems very easy, but it just makes me crazy. So do yourself a favor and create yourself a waterfall base. And this, for this project, I cut it at 6 1/4 by 8 1/2. Okay. Then what I do is just line it up somewhere in my scoreboard. If you have a scoreboard that has this mat, even if you have the white scoreboard, I forget whose it is, but even if you have that one, it's super helpful to put this up against the base up against the side of the scoreboard, because it'll help keep it crazy straight. And as long as you line up here, everything should be straight. You shouldn't have a problem. So anyway, so let's start off with the base. 6 1/4 by 8 1/2. And then what I have here is 8 pieces of my main color cardstock. And they are 4 3/4 inches by 6 1/4, because again, my base is 6 1/4 wide. You'll put this on the 4 3/4 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. Score all your pages, or all your waterfall pages at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then add your adhesive. If you're going to use Scor tape, I like to fold and burnish first. Just helps with where you put the Scor tape, at least for me. And then I add my Scor tape. As you can see, I have my Scor tape on all of them. Okay, they're all scored, folded, and burnished, and they all have adhesive. Right? So then we're going to take the first one. Okay, and then what I like to do is kind of fold it back. You can see I'm folding it back and holding it there in place. And then I kind of work upside down. It's just easier for me. I've always been a little backwards, but yeah. So again, if you stick with the idea, if you start and you line up the corners and you line up the edge, the rest of it should just fall right into place. And look at that. Everything lined up beautifully. It's incredible. I just absolutely love it. Every time I do it, and I do it all the time, I get so excited. So just go ahead and give that a good burnish. Right, line yourself back up again. Let's do number 2. And then what you're going to do is take the edge of this. You're going to fold your flap under. Take the edge and line it up. It's really hard to see, I know, but line it up with the bottom edge of the prior waterfall flap. Again, give that a nice crisp crease. And that's number 2. Okay. And number 3. I was going to speed the video up at this point, but I think it's really important. A lot of people ask me, how do you get them to go on straight? I can never make it work. Well, this is how I do it. And I will admit, sometimes they're not straight. I stop and I make sure. I go back and I look before I get too far along, and then before you know it, you're on the last one and it's all wonky all over the place. Okay, I'm on, which one am I on? Number 4? Uh-oh. Whew. Crisis averted. No, it's a little bit crooked. Oh no! Okay, let's see. I think I saved it. Whew. here. So far with 5, everything's still looking pretty good. Number 6. Going to make sure this is fit because I've already put in 6 like I had in my previous book, just to make sure it's going to fit. Oh yeah, it's plenty. Okay. Number 7. Keep eyeballing it, make sure it still all looks straight. Alright. And the last one. Oh, there's always one. Oh, awesome. They all fit nicely. Okay, so yeah, I can recommend that you use 8. And you can see that they all still look, they're all straight, so there's 8 of them. So what we can do now is add our score tape to the back of the base, or you can use glue. If you use wet glue, I would suggest, putting something heavy on it after you adhere it down to just kind of keep it in place so that it gets a good stick. Yeah, but for things like this that are, after you put all that paper, all those layers of paper, it gets a little bit heavy. So I like to use a nice adhesive that I know is going to be nice and strong. And then once I stick it down, it's there. It's not moving. But everybody has their own preference. I'm not going to preach at you about, which adhesive to use. I wish right now that I had some of the 8.5 by 11 score tape sheets because that would have made my life much easier. But it's my fault for not ordering it. Right, let's close that up. I'm sorry, put the adhesive on. I am notorious. People, I was at an event yesterday where I put a little too much, or what somebody thought was a little too much score tape on a piece of paper, and she preached at me. And I promise I will never do that to you guys. Ever. Alright, so, yeah, so that is our waterfall thing. So let's open up our book. Okay, it's going to go on this section. If you think of this book as in sections, the rightmost flap is section 1. Then you have the spine is section 2. Section 3 is where you're going to just put those 4 by 3.25 by 4.25 pages. So that's 1, 2, 3. 4 is your main spine. So we're working in section 5, or as I'm calling it, the waterfall section. Alright, so I lost my knife again. There we go. Let's take off all your score tape backing, or go ahead and add your liquid adhesive. Alright. I have a mountain of this stuff since I started this project. It's over here in this garbage can. Alright, so again, I'm going to line it up in my scoreboard so that I know that it's straight. And sorry, I'm standing up, so if my head gets in the camera, I apologize. So this is only 6 1/4, and our book is 7 inches wide, you're just going to want to split the difference, center it as best you can in between 2 vertical sections. Of course, I can't really see it. Okay, and wish for the best. All right. Whew. Okay, then what I like to do, just burnish that. Make sure that it adheres really well. Then I go, through each one of those little flaps, that 1/2 inch tab that we stuck down, and just make sure that it gets a good stick to the base of the book. Okay. There, I think we're good. All right, so now what we're going to do, the last piece, actually second to the last piece, is, where is it? Over here. You're going to want a closure. I assume you're going to want a closure for your waterfall. I like to use magnets on mine. I have in the past used ribbon, where you attach a piece of ribbon up here and another piece at the bottom, and then you could bring it up and tie it in a gorgeous bow up here. You can use ribbon, you can use seam binding. Baker's twine would be really, really cute, depending on whatever your paper collection is that you're going to use. Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the good old-fashioned waterfall closure, and I'm going to use, I thought I had these out, basic gray magnets. I get these from Tammy's store. They're not available in a lot of places, but I know she carries them. But anyway, so these are the large, I think these are the large. Yeah, the large magnetic discs. They also have smaller ones, but yeah, I don't think, I thought I had this open, really. I don't think, with the weight, I don't think the smaller magnets are appropriate, because I don't think they'll hold everything. So I'm going to go ahead, if you have nails, these are very hard to get out. So what you need is one positive and one negative magnet. So I take this is my, I think this is supposed to be a stylus for making paper flowers. This is my scoring tool. This is my pushing magnets out of the package tool. I use this thing for everything. So I guess you could call it my multi-purpose. So there is one. Now I need one plus. And you got to keep these things away from each other until you're ready to use them, because they are so super strong. So then what I do, so you have one positive, one negative, just put the backs together so that they kiss each other. And let's just set that aside for a minute. So the closure I'm using, I don't think I said, I'm sorry, is 1.5 inches by 6 inches long. And then I scored it at a 1/2 inch on the bottom, because I am going to put it down here, actually at the bottom of my base. Remember the waterfall base that we had that we just adhered? You can kind of see it right here. I'm going to adhere it there, because once I put the pattern paper down here, it's going to hide it, and you're not going to see this little flappy doodle thing. So what I try to do is make sure that with this first flap that you leave enough space, because one part of the magnet is going to go here. Okay, so you want to leave enough room so that your paper closes here. So try to find the middle. I'm notorious for being crooked, so to speak. All right, and then let's find the middle there. Stick that down. Okay, then let me just straighten that up a little bit. Okay, then I remove I don't know why, there's really no reason, no right way or the wrong way to do this, but I always take the paper backing off of the negative side first, because I don't need negativity, so I hide it. And then just try to center it right underneath there, okay? Then you take the paper off the positive side, and then close up your flap. Give it a good stick, and there you go. Oops, I'm sure you heard that. So you have one magnet here, one magnet here, and then just to reinforce that, because don't ever trust that it's not going to let loose, I put a little piece. I don't know about that adhesive. I will say in the years I've been using it, I don't recall that they've ever broken loose, but I don't trust it. So I put a little piece of Scor tape across it to hold it down. It's going to get covered with pattern paper anyway. So call me paranoid, but it works. All right, so that's your waterfall done. Well, it still needs to be decorated, but see how easy that was? Maybe you have an easier time lining yours up. I have a difficult time keeping it straight until I started using that base, and I've never looked back. So that's fun. So essentially, your book is done. You can go ahead and add your, whoopsie. You can go ahead and add the other pocket over here on that inside flap. And then all that's left to do is cover it with pattern paper and add in your big tags. And again, the description below, I will let you know exactly the size of each one of my tags. And one thing, I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, this is my left side flap. The way I have this close, as you can probably see, I use magnets. So I did just the same way you saw on the waterfall. I placed 3 of them. I took 3 magnets. I might end up putting a 4th one. I'm not 100% sure yet. But I put 3 magnets down, just like you saw me do a minute ago. Removed the backing off of the plus side, and then lined it up, closed it up, and that's what's holding my book shut. So, yeah. So there it is. Sorry, the camera's up too high. And then there's the spine. It's a big fat spine. So, yeah, I'm going to keep working on this today, and I'm going to go ahead and decorate mine. And I'm not going to say what it's for because I know that, or what pattern paper I'm going to use, because the person I'm giving it to is a gift. She's going to figure it out like that. But anyway, so yeah, so that is how simple this this folio was. It was a lot of fun, super easy to make. If you make it, again, I'd love to see it. You can actually, send me a link, or, you could actually send me a link over on my Facebook page, which is either my Anne Marie Cho 40, or you can leave me a link here on YouTube, or you can also reach me. I'm on Instagram, Anne Marie Cho 40, and I'm also, I have my own Facebook page. It's called My Scrap Desk. I haven't done much over there. I'm trying to load more content over there. But anyway, so I'd love to see it if you make it. I just can't imagine, I can't wait to show you how different the book that we made today with the paper collection I'm going to use, how it's going to look. Even though it's the same, it's going to look so very, very different. So anyway, happy Sunday, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. The sun is coming out here. I don't want to say it too loud because I don't want Mother Nature to know the sun's out, because she might change her mind. But it's beautiful. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks. Bye.